There comes a point in life when silence becomes louder than words, when the room is full of people, but somehow you still feel completely alone. You smile when you need to. You say, "I'm fine," because it's easier. You keep moving because stopping would mean facing everything you've been avoiding. And the truth? Most people around you have no idea what's really happening inside your mind. Because some pain doesn't scream. It whispers, quietly, relentlessly, every single day. Sometimes the hardest battle isn't heartbreak. It isn't betrayal. It isn't failure. Sometimes the hardest battle is simply trying to understand yourself. Trying to understand why you feel disconnected. Why even when life looks normal from the outside, something inside feels broken. Why fear follows you even when nothing dangerous is happening. Why your chest feels heavy for no reason. Why peace feels temporary. Why happiness feels borrowed. And maybe you've asked yourself questions you never say out loud. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just be okay? Why do I keep trying to fix things and still feel lost? And maybe the scariest part is pretending none of that exists. Because pretending is exhausting. Carrying pain quietly is exhausting. Being strong for everyone else while secretly falling apart, that's exhausting. And relationships become complicated when you're carrying wounds you haven't healed. Because love becomes harder when trust is damaged. Conversations become harder when honesty feels dangerous. And connection becomes harder when fear keeps rewriting every thought. One misunderstanding becomes distance. One hidden truth becomes resentment. One betrayal becomes a crack that keeps spreading. And suddenly two people who once felt close feel like strangers standing in the same room. That's how emotional collapse happens, not all at once. Piece by piece, small disappointments, unspoken frustrations, conversations that never happened, truths that arrived too late. And maybe you know exactly what that feels like. Maybe you've loved someone and still felt uncertain. Maybe you've questioned their loyalty. Maybe you've questioned your own worth. Maybe you've stayed awake replaying conversations in your head, looking for signs. Looking for certainty, looking for peace. But here's something difficult most people eventually learn. Love does not remove pain. Love does not remove fear. Love does not automatically heal unresolved damage. Because if someone doesn't know how to face themselves, they will struggle to fully show up for someone else. And sometimes the pain isn't even about the relationship. Sometimes the pain existed long before the relationship ever began. Old wounds, old insecurities, old disappointments, old abandonment. And unless those things are confronted, they keep showing up wearing different faces. That's why some people sabotage what they care about. That's why some people push others away while desperately wanting closeness. That's why some people shut down emotionally instead of explaining what hurts. Because vulnerability feels terrifying when life has taught you that openness leads to pain. But avoiding honesty creates its own damage. Secrets create distance. Assumptions create chaos. Silence creates stories that may not even be true. And eventually everyone gets hurt. That's why emotional maturity matters. Because adulthood isn't just about surviving. It's about learning how to communicate pain without destroying connection. Learning how to be honest even when honesty feels uncomfortable. Learning how to admit fear instead of disguising it as anger. Learning how to say, "I'm struggling, I'm scared, I don't know how to process this, I need help." That takes strength. Real strength. Not the kind that pretends everything is okay. The kind that tells the truth. And truth can be terrifying, especially when the truth is, you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed, you're emotionally numb. You don't even recognize yourself anymore. But recognizing that isn't weakness, that's awareness. And awareness is where healing begins. Because once you stop pretending, you can finally rebuild. Not overnight, not instantly, but honestly. Step by step, conversation by conversation, boundary by boundary. Healing doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming emotionally stronger. It means understanding your triggers instead of letting them control you. It means learning how to trust wisely instead of living in constant suspicion. It means choosing peace without abandoning self-respect. And sometimes healing also means letting go. Letting go of toxic cycles. Letting go of people who only bring confusion. Letting go of versions of yourself built entirely around survival. Because not every chapter deserves permanence. Some relationships teach. Some seasons test. Some experiences break illusions so stronger foundations can be built. That's life. Messy, painful, human, but beautiful too, because even after heartbreak, people love again. Even after betrayal, people trust again. Even after emotional collapse, people rebuild. That's what resilience looks like. Not perfection, recovery. And if you're listening to this carrying emotional weight nobody sees, hear this clearly. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not weak because you feel deeply. You are not failing because healing is taking time. You are human. And humans carry scars, some visible, most invisibles. But scars do not mean your story is over. They mean you survived something. And survival matters. So if life feels heavy right now, pause long enough to ask yourself one honest question. What am I really carrying? Because once you identify it, you can begin releasing it. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you can breathe without pretending.